Hi everyone, my name is Kat, or the Fairy Librarian, and welcome back to a new video. Today I will be sharing my TBR for the TBR Blitz readathon, which is a month-long readathon in April held by the Keymark Discord. It is team-based, and there are 4 captains who are Tori over at Tori Talks, Kayla over at Case Hidden Shelf, Jordan over at India Courts, and Derry over at Derry's Read It Before. So I'll link all of their channels down below so you can check it out if you want. By the time you're seeing this, the deadline to sign up and place in a team will be passed. So I'm sorry, but it is what it is. I'm on team Beanie Barbarians, even though I don't own a beanie and I don't consider myself a barbarian, but I'm Beanie Barbarian apparently, and I'm super excited. In this readathon, you can read a total of 5 books max. There are 10 main prompts, and you pick 5 of those, and then you get a point per book. And then there are 5 bonus prompts, 1 per book, no repeats, and then get a bonus point if you also match one of those. And then you can get a 3rd point per book if you review it on either Goodreads, Storygraph, or Amazon. So I'm gonna go for the full 15 points you can earn with this readathon. So I've had a puzzle a little bit with my TBR, but I'm very excited to share. I will just go over the bonus prompts to tell you what my TBR is, just because those are all used, and then of the 10 there's only 5, so I think it's easier that way because there are some prompts where I have multiple books and I'm not yet sure what I'm gonna read, because I am a mood reader at heart, so I want to be able to pick whatever my mood tells me to pick. So let's go over the TBR. So the first bonus prompt is an indie author, and for that I'm going to read my very first review copy ever. I'm a reviewer now, and that is The Garden Gnome by Jeff McIntyre. This also works for a friend's recommendation because I couldn't really find an indie book. I don't read a ton of indie stuff, which I do want to get better at that, but I didn't really have any ideas about what I could use. And then in the Discord, there's this channel where authors can pitch their book, and sometimes they say, hey, if you want an ARC or review copy, just ask. And so people in the Discord have told me, go take a look there. Lots of indie authors in there, so there you have some suggestions. So this works for that. This is a fantasy with a little bit of sci-fi elements as well. There's some Arthurian legend in it, some folklore, it's magic coming back to our world. It sounds amazing. I'm very excited. Also, just look at the cover. I really love the cover, and I am so excited for this one. So that's the first book I'm going to read. The second prompt is a debut novel, and there I have 2 options. The first option is Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. This is the first book in the Expanse series, which is a sci-fi space opera series. James S.A. Corey is an author duo consisting of Daniel Abraham and Di Frank. Daniel Abraham had already published a few books before this, but it is Di Frank's debut and it's the first book to be published together, so I think it counts. And then the main prompt this hits is The Intimidating Chonker, which is a book over 500 pages. And let me check the exact page count. This is an author interview. 561 plus acknowledgements and an author interview and stuff. So definitely counts for that as well. I've heard really great things about this one. I'm very excited. And I've heard it's very fast-paced and action-packed. And so I think it'll be a very quick read, even though it's a little bit longer. So I'm excited to start the series. The other option that I have for a debut novel is The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. This could also work for the prompt of a recent addition to my TBR. This is the first book in a... I'm not sure if it's YA or adult. I need to check that. But a fantasy series. It's a very typical quest fantasy, but in a Middle Eastern setting. I'm excited. I've heard good things as well. So this is the second option for this prompt. The third bonus prompt is for a book published in the 21st century, and for that I picked Six Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. I went into it trying to fit this one on here, and this was the only bonus prompt it fit, so here it is. And this also works for a book I bought because of the cover, because look at it, it's really pretty. But this is the first book in a YA fantasy series. It is a fantasy retelling about a girl whose family is cursed and her brothers get turned into swans. And she can't talk because every word she says, one of her brother dies. So she has to find a way to break the curse without speaking. So that's who we're following, and I've also heard really good things, and I just need to read this book. I've been wanting to read this book for so long, but I just never get to it, so I want to prioritize this one for the readathon. The fourth bonus prompt is a book published in the 20th century. So for that, I have either Stardust by Neil Gaiman, which is some very whimsical fantasy book I've heard. I've never read a Neil Gaiman before, but I've been wanting to for ages. So this book also counts for a book that is on my TBR for over a year. I've heard it's very whimsical and fairy tale-esque, and that's a vibe I really like. So I'm excited. I'm also excited to finally try this very popular author, and it works for published in 20th century because this book came out in 1999. My other option for 20th century is Bodyguard of Lightning by Stan Nichols. This is the first book in the Orcs trilogy, and this one also works for a book outside of my comfort zone because I usually prefer a bit more whimsical and lighter reads. And this is just a lot darker than I'm used to. I'm not sure if it's full-on grimdark, but definitely darker than I'm used to, so it works for that. This is about a bunch of orcs who live in their orc land, and then suddenly humans come in, and the orcs don't want the humans there, and so they're gonna fight to get their land back. And so they're gonna fight to get their land back. And so they're gonna fight to get their land back. And so they're gonna fight to get their land back. And so they're gonna fight to get their land back. And so they're gonna fight to get their land back. And so they're gonna fight to get their land back. And so they're gonna fight to get their land back. And so they're gonna fight to get their land back. And so they're gonna fight to get their land back. And so they're gonna fight to get their land back. And so they're gonna fight to get their land back. And so they're gonna fight to get their land back. And so they're gonna fight to get their land back. And so they're gonna fight to get their land back. And so they're gonna fight to get their land back. And so they're gonna fight to get their land back. And so they're gonna fight to get their land back. And so they're gonna fight to get their land back. And so they're gonna fight to get their land back. And so they're gonna fight to get their land back. And so they're gonna fight to get their land back. And so they and they're orcs, so it's not going to be the most peaceful fighting to get their land back. I haven't really heard anyone talk about this, but I am very excited to try out the series and try something new. So the last bonus prompt that I had to fill was the second book in a series. And for that, I have 3 options, in fact. The first option is Bloodmarked by Tracy Dion, which is the sequel to Legendborn, which is a YA urban fantasy series set at UNC Chapel Hill, and there's some Arthurian legend in it. I liked the first book but didn't love it, but I was curious enough to give the second book a try. So this is option number 1. The second option that I have is Shadow of the Night by Deborah Harkness. This is a sequel to A Discovery of Witches, which I really enjoyed. It, even though it has a lot of tropes that I normally don't love, there's a strong romance component to it between witch and werewolf, and then there is like a manuscript that all the magical creatures have been looking for decades, but has been lost, and then they find it and they want to find out what exactly it is. And I really enjoyed the first book, so I am curious to read the second book, but this is pretty long as well, so I don't know if this will be my end decision. And then the third option that I have for this is The Light Fantastic by Terry Pratchett, which is the second Discworld book. I read the first one in February, and I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I laughed out loud a few times. I didn't love it, but I've heard from big Discworld fans that that's their least favorite out of all of them. So they give me good hopes for the rest of the series, and I want to give them a try. So that's this. All the books for a second book in a series also work for the main prompt of continuing a series, but this one might also work for the bonus prompt of published in the 20th century, because it's, I don't know the exact year, hang on, in 1986. So maybe I'll read that then for the main prompt of continuing a series, and then that prompt is gone, so I'll have to read Shadow of the Night for the second book in a series, and then the main prompt would be The Intimidating Chonker, because it is also over 500 pages, and I can't use that prompt anymore for debut, so I'll have to read The Stardust Thief there. I hope that makes sense. But it'll depend on what I'm feeling at the moment. I did want to read this book in English, actually. This is a Dutch copy because I was at the library and their English copy was someone had borrowed it. So if it becomes available throughout the month, I am going to try and read that if I decide to read this book for any of the prompts. But I just picked up the Dutch one just to make sure that I had a copy in case I wanted to read it, because with my luck, that would have been gone as well when I decided I'm going to read The Light Fantastic. So those are all of the options. I'll just go over them very quickly once again. So I have a Garden Gnome for a indie book and a friend's recommendation. I have either Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey for a book over 500 pages and a debut, or The Stardust Thief for a recent addition to my TBR and a debut. I have Six Crimson Cranes for a book I bought because of the cover and a book published in the 21st century. I have Bodyguard of Lightning for a book outside of my comfort zone. Stardust by Neil Gaiman for a book that has been on my TBR for over a year. Or Light Fantastic by Terry Pratchett for series continuation, and those all fit the bonus prompt of published in the 20th century. And then I have Bloodmarked by Tracy Dion for second book in a series and series continuation. I have Light Fantastic by Terry Pratchett for a second book in a series or series continuation. And then I have Shadow of the Night by Deborah Harkness for second book in a series and either series continuation or a book over 500 pages. So that's my TBR. I'll make a little stack of, these are 5 books. So, no, these are not 5 books. This is 5 books. I have a stack of things for thumbnail. I'll make it a bit neater. For thumbnail purposes. So there it is. I think that 5 books is definitely doable. I'm very excited. I don't know if I will read more than these in April because, well, it's 5, which is more than usual, but quite of these are relatively short. So we'll see if April isn't over yet, but the readathon is, then I will read another book. I don't know what that's going to be. Maybe it's one of these that I didn't read for the readathon or something completely different. I don't know. And if I don't get to all 5 of them, then that's that. But I'm gonna try my best. So that was the video. I am terrible at outros. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you again in another video. Bye.